And welcome back. We want to welcome to the program Rose Glenn. She's kind of an amateur historian. We're going to go take a step back in time into here the days of Leisure World. As many of you may remember, this was Leisure World before it was Laguna Woods Village. Rose, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here.
Now, you moved here, your family moved here in the early 70s, and you've just have this nostalgic kind of look back on everything here that was here back in those times, right?
That's correct. Our family moved to Laguna Hills in 1971. We moved into a residential neighborhood called New World that was also built by Rossmore.
Okay.
So at the time when Laguna Woods was called Leisure World, Leisure World being built by Rossmore, they also built New World. And New World was for families to move to this area to be the support for their surrounding businesses.
Okay.
We were so far out, kind of in the boonies, that we just needed the people to support the businesses. My mother was a nurse, and because the medical center was here, she worked at the medical center.
Okay, okay. Now I remember when I was a kid that there was like Santa Ana and that kind of stuff. Then there was the Irvine Ranch land, was this giant swath of just land, and way down then Laguna Woods. And that's when like the land started again. So like you say in the boonies, it doesn't feel like that today because we're so built out. But it was farm fields, strawberry fields. It was all El Toro based, but it was a lot of open land out here.
That's
in the old
correct.
days.
We had cattle ranches and orange groves, and of course during the springtime the orange groves were so fragrant it was just
heavenly. You smell it forever.
Yes.
No, I remember when I moved here in the late 70s and there was still a lot of that still around. You came across, you collect things on eBay, you look for things, you have a lot of good collections, but you came across a film recently.
That's correct. I love to collect historical photos of this area. They remind me of my childhood and just bring back some happily memories. And as I was searching for these photos, postcards and things, I came across an 8mm film titled Leisure World. I had no clue what was on the film. It just titled Leisure World. So I took a chance and I purchased it and was so excited to transfer it onto DVD to see what was on the film. And it turns out that a former resident filmed a homemade movie of a tour of Leisure World, and from 1970.
Right. Now I saw a little bit of it, and it's definitely not like a Leisure World production or anything like that. This is just him deciding to do his own kind of tour of the community. We see like the Great Western Bank, we see the Taj Mahal, we see the community, we see the golf course. It's really a kind of a really interesting glimpse of that time back then.
That's correct, and a lot of the buildings are still there. Maybe the businesses have changed, but the buildings are still there.
Yeah, the bank building's still over by the mall.
Correct. And you'll definitely recognize Taj Mahal. You'll see Taj Mahal. And the medical center where my mother used to work, that looks much different now.
Yeah, it's amazing. What was it like to see that and go, wow, jackpot?
It really took me back in time. It really did. Time travel truly is possible if you just have a little bit of imagination.
Yes, we're time travelers right now. We're just all going at the same pace.
Yeah.
So when did your collection first start? What was the first thing you said, you know what would be cool to have is X?
Well, several years ago, I started collecting photographs of Laguna Beach.
Okay.
Living in this area, we were only 4 miles from Laguna Beach, and that town is so historical. That's where it all started. And then as this area started to grow and develop, I started to kind of miss the rolling hills and the orange groves and things. So that's where my collection kind of evolved into the surrounding areas of Laguna Woods. And that's where it all started.
There's where it all began. You brought some stuff for us to take a look at. Like, what's this big magazine, kind of the large format there? I haven't seen those kind in a while.
This is, so this is a beautiful brochure of Leisure World.
Yeah, let me hold that up for so folks
Sure.
can see it. And tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here. This is the cover, obviously, but...
This is a marketing brochure for Leisure World from 1964. And
Wow.
the contents, there are some pictures in there that are just spectacular of what it was like back then, especially the Globe that was located off of El Toro Road that was just magnificent. It was a fountain, and it had beautiful plants and flowers surrounding it.
Oh yeah, it was gorgeous. I mean, you'd see it from the 5 freeway, but to be on the other side of the street, that's where you really got to see the, like you said, the fountain and the flowers and everything. You could always see the top 2/3 of the Globe from the freeway and then the wall.
That's correct, and it was just beautiful. It was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and they moved it for a while, but now it's gone, which I miss.
Yes, I miss it too. It really was something spectacular to look at, and it was moved a couple of different times, but eventually they did dismantle it, unfortunately.
Now you also have come across postcards, and there's really some cool images on the front of some of these postcards. They're Leisure World postcards and the other areas around here, but they're also used. So you take a look at what people wrote, like, hey, I just moved into Leisure World and I love it here. Those kinds of things?
Well, this is one of the things I love about collecting postcards, because not only do you get the beautiful photograph on the front of the postcard, but then on the flip side of the postcard, you also get a delightful story from that person writing to their family or loved one about where they are and where they're staying. Usually a vacation, so they're always a lot of fun.
They're usually happy about whatever they're writing.
About whatever it is that they're writing. And then you also get to see where the postcard was mailed to, plus the stamp. If you're maybe interested a little bit into stamp collecting, you get the stamp. And then also the postmark, the day, the time, and the year. So I have a lot of postcards of Leisure World back in the day, but I also have other areas. Some of my postcards go back over 100 years.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's terrific. And so you've expanded your collection to just kind of like whatever you might be interested in. It's not just Leisure World memorabilia, right? Like you said, you started with Laguna Beach stuff a little bit,
right.
but where is this taking you?
Where is this taking me? Well, maybe I should mention our History Center. Our History Center welcomes donations of any artifacts or photographs of Laguna Woods. And this film and these photographs will be donated to our History Center to preserve our legacy for our future generations.
And are you still out there exploring and finding stuff? Like, do you do it all the time? Is this like a little bit of your hobby?
It's a hobby. It's definitely a hobby.
What kind of collection do you have at the house? Like, what are some of the things you found? Like, this is for me. This is one that just reminds me of whatever it might be. Or there's some special ones that you just really happy about finding?
Well, I do have some special ones. Mostly, like I said, of Leisure World, but this one, our astrology club members might be interested in. This is a postcard of the planetarium in Hollywood, and the postmark is 1948.
Wow.
And it was mailed to Pennsylvania, and it's Griffith Observatory, and the picture is just absolutely beautiful.
That's fantastic.
And of course, the person writing the story to their family member is just a delightful one. I have another one here of New York City. This one was written by one of our veterans in 1945.
Wow.
And it was written on December 30th, so right before New Year's Eve, 1945. And he talks about how they're sending him to Italy, and he's writing to a buddy of his in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and suggests to his buddy in the military to not work too hard because the Army might want to keep him another year. So, and they were mailed free. Our military.
Right, military, and still to this day they get that, I think.
Yes,
so which
yes.
is really fantastic.
These are the sorts of things that I just love to see. They really take me back in time, and also the pictures of Laguna Woods. I have. Here's the Taj Mahal, and this was the bus system that we used to have. That's what the buses used to look like.
I feel like I remember those a long time ago, dropping folks off at the mall. All right.
That's correct.
Well, we could do this all day, but Rose, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this kind of trip back in time in our time machine for us. I really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. And I know folks will want to go over to the History Center right here in the village and check out this stuff as it gets in there. Thank you.
And I hope that our residents in the community enjoy this trip back in time.
I'm sure they will. You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.